Hey guys, welcome to Smack Talk Wrestling Reviews. I am your host, Boise, and this is the Royal Rumble review. It's the road to WrestleMania. Did we hit any speed bumps on the way, or was it just smooth sailing? Let's find out. Let's hit the music. So we started off the show with an impromptu match where it was the Raw Tag Team Champions Chad Gable and Bobby Roode taking on a interesting team of Scott Dawson and Razor from AOP. All this started because Drake Maverick had spoken to Mr. McMahon, and he managed to work out that if Razor and Scott Dawson get the victory at the Royal Rumble, they would get a future title shot at the Raw Tag Team Champions. Sounds great, but why? Why would, it's, I understand it, it's trying to add, could we see two challenges at the same time? It really didn't add anything. It felt to me like a very much, oh crap, we have 2 hours on a kickoff show, we only have 2 matches announced on it, what should we do? Let's just put Razor and Scott Dawson together and just hope that they have a good match. And you know what, it's an interesting pairing. The guys do have chemistry. They had it when they were in NXT, when they fought against each other for the NXT Tag Team Championships. So I can understand why you would put them together. But it just didn't work for me. It just didn't. It felt flat, it felt rushed, and it just felt like this match was just there to fill up some time while fans were getting into the stadium. The best bit about the whole match was the part before the match when the cameraman fell over. Poor guy. It just happens, unfortunately, but it was on social media and everyone saw it, and it obviously WWE are going to try and sweep that under the rugs. So what am I going to give this match in particular? I was going to give it a 1.5 star match, mainly because it felt very, very rushed. But because the cameraman fell over, I'm going to give it 2.5. I know I'm giving it a star for a stupid reason, but it made me chuckle, and it actually made me smile for quite a bit throughout the whole match, just in case something else stupid would happen. So, because me and Jay didn't know this match was going to happen, the scores are 0-0 right now. Next up, we have the United States Championship match, where we see Rusev versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Rusev, the current champion, Shinsuke Nakamura, the former champion. Now, as they mentioned on commentating, there's no more rematch clause, so you can either earn your opportunities, or you pretty much trick the current champion to giving you that opportunity, which Shinsuke had done. For me, this is a bit of an annoyance, and I'm going to rant a little bit here, and I think I should. Shinsuke Nakamura and Rusev have absolutely good chemistry. They have brilliant chemistry, in my opinion. They're fun to watch in the ring together, and it's actually been probably some of Nakamura's best matches against Rusev. Yet, this whole feud has been put on the kickoff show. It has barely been mentioned on SmackDown Live for like 2 whole weeks, and it just felt really flat. It just makes no sense. If you know these two have such good chemistry together, that they could tell a story, because Rusev's good at doing that, and Nakamura's good at being the heel, why would you not push this story? I get it, you've got Becky Lynch, you've got Charlotte, you've got Asuka, you've got Daniel Bryan, you've got AJ Styles, you've got Samoa Joe, and all these storylines going on about the Royal Rumble, but putting like 5 minutes or 10 minutes into the Rusev Shinsuke Nakamura story would have literally pushed this match a little bit better for me in the, storytelling wise, because the match itself was really good fun. You had everything you wanted to see between two men. They're both trying to take each other out with brute strength. People forget Rusev's are really good. His strength is in his legs as well, like Shinsuke's. So they're both brilliant strikers with their feet. So it was a really good matchup for me. I mean, obviously you have Shinsuke trying to cheat to take the belt buckle off. Lana's telling the referee, again, referees aren't listening, and Shinsuke gets in her face. It looks like Shinsuke's about to hit her, but Rusev runs to try and save her, accidentally knocks Lana off. And then Shinsuke Nakamura to the knee to the back of the head. 1, 2, 3. We get a surprise title change, which I don't mind. And it was like, this was actually a good match. It was a fun kickoff show match. So what am I going to give it as a final score? Because there was barely any storylines going into this match, which annoys the crap out of me, because that's been the problem with the US title of late. I'm going to only give it a 2 out of 5 stars. But it puts Mr. J in the lead. He's 1-0 up. Not a great start for me. Next up, we had the Cruiserweight Championship match on the kickoff show, and it was a fatal 4-way match. Buddy Murphy, the current champion, taking on Kalisto versus Tozawa versus Hideo Itami. Now, I absolutely love this match. Again, it just shows you how good 205 really are. You have a mixture of wrestlers in all 4 men are ups. You got Buddy Murphy, who doesn't look like he's a 205 weight. He looks more like he's 306, just because he's so built up. He's like, Jesus Christ. I can understand he gets the nickname the Juggernaut because he looks like the Juggernaut from the X-Men. You have Kalisto, who is absolutely a great high flyer. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a huge fan of the Lucha House Party stuff he does, but when he's actually singles competitor and he has matches like this in the Fatal 4, it just shows you how good the guy is. Hideo Itami is just one of the best underrated wrestlers on 205, and I think he should have won personally, mate, not just because I predicted him to win, but because he is an absolute legend in Japan who's held titles, and you just go, why has he not held a title yet in WWE? It makes no sense. And then you have Tozawa. Tozawa is absolutely fun to watch. His high flying moves with striking abilities is just absolutely impressive, and that's what we got. We got all 4 men just going, let's just steal the show on the kickoff show, and that's what they did. It was the best match on the kickoff show by far, on pure talent and ability. And yes, I actually started thinking when it got to the end, I want another 5 minutes of this. I want another 5. I'd rather have 5 more minutes of this than really bad kickoff show panelized, talking. And that was a good sign for me. That's a great sign. Buddy Murphy did win. He pinned Hideo Itami. I think out of all of them, the one guy who could have been pinned, who wouldn't have been affected that badly, should have been Kalisto for me. Kalisto, you know who I mean. But it's just annoying. It just felt like, out of all of them, Hideo needed to be protected a little bit more than all the other 3 competitors. But yeah. So what am I going to give this as a final score? I'm going to give this a 2.5. I know it's the same score as I give the Raw Tag Team match, but story-wise and everything going in, it was absolutely fun to watch. That moves us on to the main show itself, and we kicked off with the SmackDown Women's Championship match. Becky Lynch versus the current SmackDown Live Women's Champion, Asuka. This was a bloody match at its best. I loved every second of this match. And I know there was a lot of people like, oh, why are we having this as the first match? It should be further down the aisle. And I was like, no, this is perfect. If we have Becky on first and she loses, then that means she can be in the Royal Rumble match and win it and all this lot. And it just made me happy to see this match first. I think this was Asuka's best match since her WrestleMania match against Charlotte last year. It was just everything you wanted to see. You had both women trying to use each other's techniques, finishers. Disarmer by Asuka looked absolutely awesome. Becky putting the Asuka lock on Asuka and nearly pinning her. I mean, you just have hard hitting moves. Both women were giving it its all, and that was the best thing. There was neither babyface or heel in this match. It was just 2 competitors who wanted to win, and that's what we got. And that was the best thing about the whole match. because Becky Lynch and Asuka just have that chemistry. When they're both on top of their game, this was it. Asuka did get the victory with a fisherman's hook submission move, which looked like it absolutely killed Becky Lynch, but it was the ending. Like, the crowd, I don't think the crowd were too disappointed Becky had lost. The fan support was fully on Becky, but they weren't too disappointed because, like I said, first match of the main show itself, and Becky's just lost, and we still have the Women's Royal Rumble. So fans were excited for the possibility of that. Plus, this was a great victory for Asuka. Like I said, this is possibly her best match she's had since WrestleMania last year against Charlotte, and she actually made the man tap out. Now, I know a few people like, well, I think Becky shouldn't have tapped out. She should have been she should have gone down, not submitted, but been choked out, and that's how Asuka should have won and kept Becky looking strong. But no, I don't think that matters. I think Becky, there was some mutual respect between Asuka and Becky after their match, and that's what we got. So what am I going to give this match as a score? Well, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5 star match. I thought it was bloody brilliant. I loved every second of it, and best thing is, I know I went against the man herself, but it put me back in the game. It's 1-1 between me and Mr. J. Next up, we continue the SmackDown Live titles with a SmackDown Live Tag Team Championship match between The Bar, the current champions, versus the #1 contenders, Shane O'Mac and The Miz, the best tag team in the world. And I like this match. It wasn't a great match. It wasn't the best tag team match. Now, if it was the New Day versus The Bar versus, the Usos, we possibly could have another great tag team match. But it was nice to mix it up with a team like Shane O'Mac and The Miz. A new team, not much known about them as, tag team. But the chemistry there was great. For me, it's telling a story. And that's what you want to see. Now, when you're doing this, there was only 2 outcomes when it came to this match. Cesaro and Sheamus would win, and The Miz would turn on Shane O'Mac, or Shane O'Mac and The Miz win the tag team titles and continue this story of the best tag team in the world until they implode. But it was interesting as a match because Sheamus and Cesaro came off looking absolutely brutally strong, which they always will do because they are brutes, they are very strong competitors, and every time they hit someone and bro kick someone in the freaking face, it looks like it's going to fracture their face to the ends of the world. And that's what it was. It was a dominant match from The Bar throughout it all. Like 80%, The Bar was in control. Then finally, Shane O'Mac and The Miz finally get some space between them. They finally managed to push The Bar a little bit. The Miz taking out Cesaro for skull-crushing finale, and then Shane O'Mac does a shooting star press to get the pinfall. A surprise shock for me, really, because I put them there as, I was like, I want to see if it's, how far they can go with the story. And I'm glad I put them as the winners in this match, because there was a part of my brain where it's The Bar. They're one of the best tag teams in the world. They're not going to drop the belts to a team who've only been around, like I said, for about 2 whole weeks. So it was a good shock victory. I can't wait to see how this goes. I can't wait to see how it implodes, who turns heel. Because like people are saying, oh, it's going to be The Miz. But what happens if it's Shane who turns heel? What happens if we get Shane O'Mac who turns heel on The Miz, and we get The Miz as a babyface at WrestleMania? Be weird, but interesting to see. What am I going to give this match? The match itself wasn't anything in particularly great, but the storytelling in it, towards it, was fantastic. So for that, I'm going to give it 2.5 stars. It puts me in the lead. It's 2-1 to me against Mr. J. All looking good for me. Next up, we had the Raw Women's Championship match where we saw Ronda Rousey versus Sasha Banks. I was going into this match with my brain saying it's going to be Ronda, my heart saying it was going to be Sasha. And Mr. J was going, it's going to be Ronda. There's no way she's going to lose, just yet. And I can understand why. But what about the match itself? This was a great match for me. I absolutely enjoyed it. I love that Sasha Banks comes off aggressive. She comes off heelish but not heel, which is a breath of fresh air for Sasha. Because I love Sasha Banks as babyface. I like her teaming up with Bayley, but I like it when she has an attitude, when she just doesn't give a damn, and she knows she's the best person in that ring. And that's what we got in this match. You had Ronda Rousey, who everyone just got, she's the baddest woman on the planet. And you go, Sasha Banks thinks she's the baddest wrestler on the planet versus the baddest woman on the planet. Just great chemistry. They have fantastic. This is the best thing about Sasha Banks. Yes, we can definitely most likely see her win the women's tag team titles with Bayley at Elimination Chamber. That's fine. We most likely will see that. But it just shows you she's still fantastic in singles competitors matches. This for me was Sasha's best match in a while. And I know she doesn't like to hear that. I know she was online saying that there was a few people saying, oh, Sasha's best match in such a long time, and she was like, I'm gonna block everyone. But it was such a good match. And again, I'm not the biggest fan of Ronda Rousey. I think she's been written OP for such a long time, but the match itself between Sasha Banks just showed how far she has come. Her selling was absolutely fantastic. She didn't look overpowered. Even when she went into Ronda mode where she's doing all that, she didn't look like a huge threat towards Sasha Banks. And that's great. That's exactly what you want to see. You want an even playing field so both women look like either one can take the title. And that's almost what we got. Yes, Ronda did win. Sasha she got pinfalled. Ronda Rousey couldn't submit Sasha Banks. She had to pin her, which we don't often get to see. That's how far Sasha pushed Ronda Rousey. I mean, afterwards, the aftermatch thing where Ronda's trying to show Sasha Banks respect, and Sasha's so angry that she had lost the match. She's giving the 4 horsewoman sign. I want to see that. There's rumours that Ronda's going to go at end of WrestleMania this year. Fine, let her go, but let us please see the 4 horsewoman of MMA versus the 4 horsewoman of WWE. So what am I going to give this score? Well, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5 star match. It was fun, it was exciting, and I absolutely love Ronda Rousey and Sasha Banks throughout the whole match. And it puts the score 3-2 to me. Next up, we had the Royal Rumble for the women. And this was an interesting one, because I agree with a lot of what people have said online about this Royal Rumble, the Women's Royal Rumble, but there was 2 things. It was very sluggish at the start, and it felt like it went on for quite a bit longer than the guys' Royal Rumble, and I think it did. I think it was actually longer than the guys' Royal Rumble one, and that there were no surprise entrances, there were no shocks, no legends returning. It was pretty much Mae Young competitors, NXT UK competitors, and SmackDown and Raw. That was it. There was no legends like Lita, Trish, and that's a bit of a shame. I loved last year's one where it was pretty much you had a majority, like half of it was main roster women, and the other half is legends returning, and that's the best thing about the Royal Rumble, you having those legends return. I think this was the weakest one for the Royal Rumble for both men and women's for legends returning, and I'll get into that with the men's one. But yeah, no legends returned, but it just shows you how much in depth the women's rosters have become in a short period of time. In a year, you pretty much had a Royal Rumble match with, I would say, every single woman in there is a full-time member of WWE in some way, like on NXT UK, and on the main rosters as well. So it was good to see that, and I like that. But like I said, the start of it felt really sluggish. But there was not a lot of major highlights throughout. It was at the end, the tail end, when it got really interesting. So it pretty much, for me, some of the highlights was Kanellis and Alicia Fox. They were just hilarious. The Riot Squad were quite interesting. They got Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan got eliminated really quickly, before Ruby Riott came out. And Riot finally came out, and she still used Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan really well. They were dragging competitors out, beating the crap out of them, chucking them back in, and Ruby Riott was just chucking them over the ring to get eliminations. Very smart tactics. Zelina Vega hiding under the ring until Hornswoggle turned up, because that makes no sense, and she got eliminated by Rhea Ripley and then still got chased by Hornswoggle, because again, why? But yeah, he was underneath the ring. But it was the interesting bit. Lana was injured during Rusev's match, so Lana was number 28. She couldn't get down to the ring. Nia Jax was number 29. She decimated Lana's leg even more before getting into the ring. Number 30 was Carmella. I mean, they're all competing. Next thing we know, Becky Lynch comes out. She's telling Fit Finlay, I'm getting into this match. I'm going in. And Fit goes, fine, just go. She takes number 28 spot. So Becky Lynch technically wins by number 28. And that's when the actual Royal Rumble match felt unique. It felt brilliant. It was the crowd favourites. And it was just elimination after elimination after that. Rhea Ripley and everyone else got taken out. And then finally, it got down to the last two women you actually wanted to see in the final two. Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch. Two absolutely Becky eliminating Nia Jax was fantastic as well. Just Becky, she got taken out under the apron, so she wasn't eliminated. Nia Jax is on top of the apron. She drags Nia gets eliminated. It's just fantastic. It's just those two, and it's great chemistry by both women. You can see why it's the hottest feud in WWE right now. Is Charlotte and Becky. All the time, they just steal the show at any time, and they stole it for this one. Becky did get the elimination. She beat Charlotte. She's going to the WrestleMania, but who's she gonna take on? Woo! But yeah, absolutely loved it. Great. I liked how they booked it, and I was right. It was the right decision. It was just the beginning, which was really slow for me. So I'm going to give the Women's Royal Rumble a 2.5 star. The ending, the right person won it at the end, and it puts me in the lead 4-2, by the way. Next up, we had the WWE Championship match between Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles. This was actually the best match they've had between the two, and I'm not gonna lie, it was definitely the best match of their feud. I'm just hoping it's over now. I know it sounds terrible, but it just I like AJ. I love AJ being near the title scene, but the Daniel Bryan AJ Styles feud has, for me, run its course. I can't sit through another pay-per-view match with those two, because the chemistry is there and not there. I know it sounds really weird. So, during the matches, they both look like they could have a 5-star match, and then other points you're just like, oh man, this is not as good as you hope it would be. And I don't think it's either guy's fault. I just think sometimes it just doesn't work out like you expect it to do. You know, we all expected AJ and Daniel to have the best chemistry in the world, but it just didn't happen. Both men were giving it its all. Daniel Bryan busted AJ's nose from pretty much the first hit of the match, which was AJ was bleeding quite a bit from his nose. Both men were going back and forth, both trying to use each other's submission moves. I'm going to just call it the crossface. It is a crossface, I don't care what anyone says. Daniel Bryan trying to use the crossface on AJ Styles. that AJ trying to use the car crusher. Both men were going all out. It was going on for some time where it just like, who could win? And that was probably the better thing about this match, and it did help. It was like you didn't know who was going to win. And then the weirdest thing happened. Eric Rollins came out in normal clothes, not in his usual get up ring gear, watching the match. The referee gets taken out by Daniel Bryan. Rollins gets into the ring, chokeslams AJ, Daniel pins him, gets the victory, and Eric Rollins there support. It's Eric Rollins and Daniel Bryan. Are we going to see the Riot family return? Is that what we're going to see? Who knows? But I've got a feeling they're going to use Eric Rollins as Daniel Bryan's muscle, as a follower, as someone who agrees with everything Daniel Bryan says. It could be interesting. It could be interesting to see how that goes, you know, because it gives Rollins something to do, because obviously his tag team partner Harper is not around. The Bludgeon Brothers are on hiatus for now until Harper returns from injury. So giving Rollins something to do, especially being like a muscle to the WWE champion, could be quite interesting. It could give another dimension to the heel Daniel Bryan championship, and it could be interesting to see how that goes leading up to WrestleMania. So for me, I'm going to give this a 2.5 star match, mainly because the ending was, you know, it was a bit of a surprise. Eric Rollins coming out of nowhere to help Daniel Bryan. Pretty sure I'm hoping to see Bray Wyatt come out at some point, just saying. But yeah, 2.5 star. It just again, I'm hoping this feud ends. This puts me 4-2, guys, 4-2 at this point. Next up, we had Brock Lesnar versus Finn Balor for the Universal Championship match. It's the longest reigning Universal Champion versus the first ever Universal Champion, and let's be honest, the crowd was 100% behind Balor Club. Of course we were. We wanted to see change. We were promised change. We were hoping for change. Did we get change in this match? Well, let's wait and see. Pretty much Brock Lesnar wasn't even in control from the start. It was Finn. Finn actually did the smartest thing ever. He went into top gear straight away, pushing Brock Lesnar to his limits, and it was great to see. Brock selling throughout that was absolutely fantastic till he started finally overpowering Finn Balor. It looked like he was about to put Balor through the table. He was annoyed, he was angry, he wanted to put Finn Balor through that table, and it almost worked. So Finn Balor managed to escape, putting Brock Lesnar's side into the side of a table and damaging him quite a few times through that. It looked like Finn finally smelt blood in the water. It looked like Finn was about to get the win. He even managed to hit a coup d'etat onto the Universal Champion. It looked like it was all going to be it, but no, Brock Lesnar had to tap into his MMA fighting skills because he couldn't use his suplexes. That's right, the injuries sustained through the side of the table, hitting his gut twice, had seriously damaged his core strength, and it allowed Finn Balor to get a bit of an advantage. So Brock Lesnar had to tap into his MMA resume and use the Kimura to make Finn Balor tap. But that wasn't it. Yes, Brock Lesnar did win, and it was a great story from both men. It was fantastic to watch. I've got to say one thing, Brock Lesnar's selling throughout the whole match was bloody brilliant. I think this was, again, he's had two really good matches between guys like Finn Balor, Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles as well last year at Survivor Series. When Brock's in the mood to do these matches, he puts on clinical matches, and it was fun to watch. I can't believe I'm saying this again, but I actually enjoyed watching a Brock Lesnar match. But it was after the match, when Brock Lesnar had beaten Finn Balor, spoiler alert, Brock Lesnar destroys Finn Balor. He F5s, he destroys Finn Balor. The reason is this: Finn Balor pushed him to his limit. It shows the whole WWE universe Lesnar is vulnerable, that there is a chance to beat the champion, this final boss of WWE, and I hope this continues. I hope that we get another match, maybe a fatal 3-way, Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. Wouldn't that be awesome to see? That would, for me. But yes, brilliant match. This legitimately made Finn Balor one of the top guys in Raw after one match. He's been on the, you know, on the edges of becoming one of the top guys, but after this match, he's definitely earned that spot as one of the top guys. So I'm going to give this a 3-star match. Last but not least, our main event, it was the men's Royal Rumble match. This for me, again, it was, like I said, the Royal Rumble matches this year were a little bit lackluster than what we've had previously, and this one also suffered from the lacklusterness of it, mainly because we only had 2 legends return. We had Kurt Angle, who's kind of on and off part-time superstar on Raw anyway, and we had Double J, Jeff Jarrett returning. That, which for me was a nice surprise. We started off with Elias and Jeff Jarrett. Elias smashing a guitar over Jeff Jarrett was pretty entertaining. But apart from that, that was it for the surprises. Everything else kind of went into the same territory. We had Titus O'Neil going underneath the ring, this time volunteering because he saw Kurt Hawkins underneath there as well and chasing him, eliminating him as well. But there was not a lot of substance in this. There was not a lot of big events going on. I think the biggest ones were, and I'll get to this, were a certain person entering the ring when you didn't expect it, and others like that. But let's talk about eliminations. There were a few eliminations which were raising the eyebrow. Aleister Black eliminating Dean Ambrose, bit of a surprise because Dean's been on, you know, one of the main event storylines for Raw for some time, and he just getting eliminated by someone who isn't on the main roster yet. It's a big thing for Aleister Black, because Aleister Black had a great showing. Pete Dunne had a great showing in this, in my opinion. It really showed the NXT stars shine a little bit better than they usually do in the Royal Rumbles. Mustafa Ali had a great showing until the end. The best two who actually had possibly the best shining Royal Rumble match, who wasn't expected, was Andrade and Dolph Ziggler. Those two got to shine there in the last 4, and it just shows you, if you give Andrade some time, give him storylines, give him something to do like that, he will absolutely steal the show. And he's one of the best young talents on SmackDown Live right now, who should be challenging for a SmackDown, for the WWE title some point down the line this year, I hope to God. Dolph Ziggler was fun. It was a great surprise for me. Obviously, with all the messages on Twitter and stuff like that he will not be there, that he's left the company, and then he comes back again. A bit of a surprise, a bit of a throwback to last year when he turned up when no one was expecting him to. But yeah, Braun Strowman coming out, dominating everyone, taking everyone out. Randy Orton and Rey Mysterio, absolute legends. They just steal the show every time they're in the ring. The big surprise, R-Truth coming out, starts singing. He gets taken out by none other than Nia Jax. Yeah, Nia Jax is the 4th woman in history to enter the men's Royal Rumble. Bit of a surprise because she was in the women's one earlier on, so I didn't understand why they're putting her in. But she had a really good showing. She looked strong. She didn't look like she was scared to take any of her finishers from the guys. And it was kind of cool to see that they actually allowed the guys to use their finishers on Nia Jax. Nia did eliminate Ali, which kind of weakened his performance of the Royal Rumble, which is a bit of a shame because he had a good showing, because he eliminated Samoa Joe, which I think is going to build up to a great rivalry now that the Royal Rumble is over. Jeff Hardy was in the match, barely saw him. Seth Rollins, the man, he was great to watch throughout it all. He got a few awesome escapes. Kofi Kingston, always entertaining. He's a highlight reel at the Royal Rumble, always will be, and I can't wait to see what happens next year for his escape. But yeah, it was fun. It was a fun little bits and bats, but there was no substance, and that's the problem. There was nothing there going, oh, could we see these feuds coming from it? It didn't. There was nothing there which screamed that. It was a bit funny when Michael Cole said, Shelton Benjamin's been eliminated, and Corey Graves goes, no, that was Apollo. It was just like, wow, Michael Cole, well done. Yes, Seth Rollins did win. He is going to WrestleMania. He used the stomp on Braun Strowman to get him out of the ring. No surprise, really. This puts me back in. This puts me 6-2 in the predictions. I am still your reigning, defending predictions champion, and yeah, I'm gonna give this a 2.5 star Royal Rumble score. And there you go, guys. That was the Royal Rumble for this year. I am still your reigning, defending predictions champion of the world. Yeah, what did I think? It was a long show. 5 hours. Well, it was 5 hours, not including the kickoff show. 7 hours. It was a long show. Was it entertaining? I think the Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins wins were fantastic. The Miz and Shane O'Mac winning the titles was a good little surprise. One, Nakamura winning the US title. Hopefully we can get a better title run than we did the first time he was US champion. But yeah, hopefully we can get some new storylines, get some interesting developments from the Royal Rumble and see where this goes. Let's be honest, we're most likely going to see Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania, and Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal title at WrestleMania from this. But let's see where this goes. Did I enjoy Royal Rumble this year? Yeah, I did. It wasn't, again, there wasn't a huge amount of surprises, but everything else just felt fun and exciting. So I'm going to give it a final score of 3 out of 5 stars. But what was your favourite part about the Royal Rumble? Leave it in the comments below. If you like our videos, don't forget to like, subscribe and press the bell to keep notified. And if you want to follow us on the old Twitter, it's at Smack Talk YouTube. If you want to follow me on the old Twitter, it's at Boise88. And I'll see you guys next time on Smack Talk Wrestling Reviews.